Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to week 8 here of this Gridiron Queensland Men's Division matchup here in this broadcast, brought to you largely by the Brisbane Rhinos and their assorted sponsors, as well as help from the Gold Coast Stingrays sponsorship. We will go through those as the night progresses, but right now we have the Brisbane Rhinos on home turf hosting the Gold Coast Stingrays, who between these two teams ended up having one of the closer games through the Gridiron Queensland Men's Division back in week 4. There ended up being, I believe, a 20-6 win to the Brisbane Rhinos. Big game here for the Brisbane Rhinos. Obviously, if they want to give themselves any sort of hope of securing the number 2 seed, it starts with a win here tonight. For the Gold Coast Stingrays, unfortunately for them, the reality is, mathematically, they are all but eliminated from Sun Bowl contention, of course, largely in part due to their 4 points deduction in competition points due to their administration issues regarding some players registered late. So pride largely on the menu for the visitors this afternoon, donned in their Columbia blue and white, and the Brisbane Rhinos in red and black running left to right on your screen here in this opening first quarter. I'm Kenny Andres. I'll be bringing you through the action and joined throughout the night through a host of the sponsors of the Brisbane Rhinos, as well as some of their old boys here, as we celebrate homecoming here at Franklin Oval, the home of the Brisbane Rhinos. Kickoff is underway, and we'll go back for a touchback. They're going to touch it. They're going to have to bring it out here. A chance for a safety, possibly some inexperience on display here by the Gold Coast Stingrays. I'm not sure if he got a call or if he was told to return it regardless, but nevertheless, I wasn't sure if he got a hand to that or not. I'm not sure if we can catch a little bit of the back end of the replay of that kickoff. It doesn't appear to be the case. No, we might have just missed it there. Had the returner not touched that, they could have let that settle for a touchback. Instead, 2 points on the board for the Brisbane Rhinos. And hang on. Just double checking. No, check that. No 2 points. Thought for a second that he got a hand to it, and with the urgency that the Rhinos celebrated with, I thought perhaps there might have been a safety. So scrub all my previous 30 seconds of comments off the board here. It'll be a touchback, and the Gold Coast Stingrays start with the ball on their own 20. Dylan Napier, of course, the quarterback, and has been since week 2 of this Gold Coast Stingrays season. John Kari, as you might have heard in my week 4 broadcast, a hip injury, unfortunately sidelining him for what looks to be the rest of this season. And Dylan Napier has been the guy behind center for all but maybe 2 quarters of football. Noah Hull took a few drives against the Brisbane Rhinos back in week 4 actually, and also head coach Lance Kilo suited up for a couple of drives before injury also removed him from his playing action, and the universe reminded him that he's a coach now, not a player. He did, however, lead a successful second half against the USQ Mustangs when that happened, but nevertheless, a completion here from Napier on second down. That completion there is to number 15 in Cameron Ewington, and that'll set him up for a third and long here. So, won't be a normal sort of audio broadcast that I'm used to. Me as the sponsors and all boys come up to the booth, we will be almost leading a bit of a Monday night Manning cast here from Franklin, and we will be talking to some of the sponsors and what they've done with the Rhinos and what they do personally, and as well as the old boys. I think Phil Levis has been scheduled to come up and have a chat with me, and long-time Rhinos player and coach Phil Levis, an old adversary of myself in fact, as well as fellow coaching there. It'll be good to catch up with him. Napier now on third and long, completes. It is a catch, won't be enough for a first down. Again, it's Ewington getting underneath that impressively, at least just making sure that is in fact a completion. A couple of officials having a chat now. The sideline official over here originally said catch, but he's been overruled now and it's been incomplete. So it looks like it will be 4th and long now. That 5 yards that would have been gained from that catch no longer in addition. So the punt team looks like it's coming out for Gold Coast now, and will be the introduction of, I think, 2016, if my memory serves correctly, Sun Bowl MVP Ben McIntosh former JUCO punter, but also Stingrays wide receiver. Caught well north of, I think it was about a dozen catches in that 2016 Sun Bowl against the Rhinos, catching passes for Damian Malloy. Couldn't quite field that punt cleanly, and his first punt in his return to the Stingrays is going to be blocked. Not the return the former Sun Bowl MVP was hoping for, and the Rhinos now in fantastic field position for their first offensive possession here in Week 8. And it was a low snap, and McIntosh just couldn't quite get. I thought he was elusive enough to possibly get that punt away, but a punt successful. Didn't quite catch the number of the Rhinos player credited for the block, but a great job by the defense and a wonderful job by the special teams to gift their offense with possession inside the 15. Ball being placed on the Stingrays 11. So it's Dix at quarterback. Bradford still yet to return, and on Dix's first pass, he wastes no time. Touchdown Rhinos. Underneath that is Lockie Taylor with his second touchdown of the 2021 season. Nice fade route, and Dix getting into rhythm early with his young core group of wide receivers. Nice way to start the game. Can't ask for much better than that. That was Cam Newton-esque. And that will be Fenwick in for the PAT attempt. PAT is unsuccessful. Wide right, so the score remains 6-0, but beautiful touchdown pass to start their day. And underneath that, hitting the back shoulder of Lockie Taylor. Was a little bit of a long time before he could get himself on that stat sheet, but looking to make up for lost time now. It's a couple of touchdowns in back-to-back games. Of course, last week cancelled for everyone in Gridiron Queensland. We didn't have a broadcast scheduled, but unfortunately, due to more than 50% of the teams losing their game due to field unavailability, we did have a significant amount of rain here in the southeast Queensland, which washed out a few of the fields. The council is stepping in and advising for the sake of the field the games wouldn't go ahead, and once more than half the teams can't participate in that round is declared washed. So everyone with an unexpected bye week, they're trying to come in healthy. That hasn't done a whole lot for the Gold Coast Stingrays, unfortunately, with this big kickoff driving them back. No dramas here. They'll return this nicely. It is returnable here for the return man, and number 23, who is not on my roster. Not a great start for me, as the Stingrays dealing with a lot of injuries and a lot of players just falling to the wayside with availability late in this season. And as I said, they're all but out of playoff contentions, the Gold Coast Stingrays. I was having a very honest chat with Lance Tonga-Kilo, head coach of the Stingrays, last night, and addressed the elephant in the room, which was that, he's never been in this situation before where playoffs haven't been on the table for him. And he openly admitted, it has been a challenge trying to figure out how you motivate your players at this point in the season without, a carrot at the end of the stick to drive your players. And, it's just something he'll take under his belt and learn from in the season future, and certainly hopes that it's few and far between with these sort of feelings for the hope of his program. Is getting his first touch of the day, Christian Denton, who I got to meet and pre-game the young man. He's been someone who's been learning a whole multitude of different positions. Started the year at second string at safety before getting a start and earning his coach's trust since then. Is largely playing on the defensive side of the ball. Instead, started at safety, ended up playing some corner, settled at linebacker, which he'll also be playing at tonight. But as of right now, looks like he'll be starting at running back as well, which makes me wonder the health availability of Gab Salvo, who's in the number 9 jersey, unless of course I've just confused number 8 and number 9. That looked like an 8 jersey to me. I'll check as this ball player comes up. And I don't know, the jersey is 8, so unless they've swapped jerseys on me, that is Christian Denton taking some carries. He's coming to the side of the field with a bit of a limp now. We'll see who replaces him at tailback. Napier relays this play back in. Napier, was asked to step up in leadership, during this preseason, was then given the lofty task of having to take over a quarterback, something he never played in his history of football, despite it being quite a lengthy history now, played all across the park. Quarterback is certainly new to him, though. Returning to the backfield, though, Gab Salvo. This man has been a shining spot in what has been otherwise a disappointing season for the Gold Coast Stingrays. The Rhinos, with their bare front they introduced against the USQ Mustangs a few weeks ago, hoping the same will apply here as they try to shut down one of the league's best running backs. On the tackle there, number 38, Will Saxby, who's making his return into the starting lineup, because I believe number 89, the young exciting rookie Xavier Savellino, is kitted up but trying not to play. He's dealing with a few injuries himself, and they want to get him right come playoffs and with a matchup against the Ravens next week. So here comes Ben Mack. A much better snap this time, and a very clean punt from McIntosh. It looks like that'll go out of bounds just inside Stingrays territory. We'll see where they officially mark it at, but another successful drive for this Brisbane Rhinos defense, I should say, and their offense will start inside Stingrays' half of the field. Week 8 action here. The Brisbane Rhinos, second on the ladder, taking on the Gold Coast Stingrays, who's lurking outside of the top 3 needed to qualify for Sun Bowl hopes. Of course, slightly different situation in the postseason this year here in Gridiron Queensland. The number 1 seed will automatically qualify for the Sun Bowl, and playoffs will take place between the 2 and the 3 seeds to see who will meet them a week later. The Sun Bowl, I believe I can announce, officially located at Deception Bay, home of the Moreton Bay Raptors, and also the Sunshine Coast Spartans for this year. Is Riley Wood now, the active starting running back for the Brisbane Rhinos, gets a healthy 5 yards to start his day. Drive, of course, only 1 play and 11 yards long. A touchdown to Lockie Taylor as Dix under pressure steps on with the pocket and gets this out of bounds straight into the arms of head coach Lance Tongakilo. And a second down ahead of us now. Dix, who was started the season at second string, is at a healthy amount of steps now as the starter. Mitch Bradford going out after the loss to the Ravens in week 3 with a hip injury, and he was initially, my intel was that he was going to be back within a couple of weeks. That couple of weeks is certainly stretched out now. The question is whether he'll be ready for playoffs, and he'll see some specialists this week as this pass is tipped off the hands of Calder Shanks and intercepted by the Gold Coast Stingrays. Celebrating was Matthew Major. I think it was actually the 21 who got underneath it, and that might be Aiden Clark. Calder Shanks. And it was, Matthew Major, started the season at wide receiver, now double dutying at safety and using those hands on the defensive side of the ball. Did a wonderful job getting underneath the ball there and taking that possession away from the Brisbane Rhinos. So first down and 10 here. Gold Coast Stingrays, Dylan Napier at quarterback. 3 receivers out to the open side of the field, but one of those going in motion now. That is Major, the interceptor, and now receiver. They use them on a little jet pop pass. Can't find a whole lot of space. At most, maybe a yard and a half. They'll give him half a yard for his trouble. Second down and 9 here for the Gold Coast Stingrays. Riley Dix is disappointed about the intercept. He's clearly moved past it right now, already talking bants on the sideline with the rest of his team, so clearly he's not fazed by the intercept. Second down, 9.5 here for Gold Coast. 9 in the backfield, that's Gab Salvo. Again, same formation, 3 receivers out to the open side of the field. There'll be a pass, there's a short option there for him. That was Ewington, pass a little low from Napier though, incomplete. And that'll bring up 3rd and long here for Gold Coast. 6-0 the score is. A couple of possessions deep into this game. This broadcast brought to you largely thanks to the Brisbane Rhinos with some help from Gold Coast Stingrays. And of course by our broadcasters LSB Australia. Samantha and Aiden here, helping us get picture and audio to screen for you this evening. 3rd down and long. Napier, he's got time, delivers, but it's Saxby! He's already got 1 pick 6 this year! He will add another! William Saxby! Pick 6 Rhinos! And isn't he making the most of his starting reps? Just lurking underneath there. You could see the little turn of the head from the number 38, just seeing who was in his zone. And as soon as he saw that arm cocked back, drove onto the ball. The experienced veteran now high stepping his way wisely after he had in fact scored the 6-pointer. An electrifying start here for the Rhinos here on homecoming week here in week 8. Fenwick back first, PAT unsuccessful, Dix on the hold. Snap looks good, as does the hold and kick. PAT successful, 13-0 now. The Rhinos scoring on their first and third, or secondly, that wasn't their first but third possession, that was a defensive score there. So the defense having the Rhinos offensive back after giving it up on an intercept last possession. So, the one bit of good news, any team that throws a pick 6 or a fumble 6 is that they get the ball back immediately. So, now chasing a 2-possession game here. Still quite early in the first quarter, plenty of time to make up for it here for the visitors. But it's been a really solid start here from the hometown Brisbane Rhinos. Frank Lind Oval, Don Duncan Oval technically speaking, as this will go at the back for a touchback. Clearly they've had a good chat on the sideline in the Stingrays camp regarding what is eligible for a touchback. And Napier's immediately back on the ball here. Napier really sort of even keel sort of personality, which probably translates well as he moves into this quarterback position. One would assume it's just for this year, but who knows? You know, with the health status of John Curry moving into 2022, you know, the quarterback position could be a little more long-term for the young man. Of course, they've got a wealth of young players coming through. Taj Borden was an exciting prospect and was even rumoured to possibly play over the next 2 weeks, but I think head coach Lance Tonga-Kilo thought that maybe right now with a few injuries going on. Oh, and that's veteran on veteran there. One of those veterans being significantly older. Joe Tuamavave laying a lick on Dylan Napier. Good to see Big Joe still floating around. I sort of refuse to believe he'll ever retire. I think in 2030 we'll still be calling that man's name. And I don't even say that facetiously. I genuinely hope he are to some sort of capacity. 2nd down and 6 here. Maybe a long 5 if you want to be generous. 13-0 the score is in favour of the Brizzy Rhinos. Napier and Gab Salvo, your Gold Coast backfield. Remaining in the same formation, Matt Major in motion. They popped past it to him last time. This time they'll make it a 2x2. Spread formation here for Gold Coast. A give to Gab Salvo. Tries to break the first tackle. And eventually taken down again by Big Joe Tuamavave. And we'll make it a manageable third down here, third and short. Let's see if they'll get Napier going back in the air there. Had a quarterback run, a running back run following the pick six. See if that's enough to sort of goldfish the last pass a little out of his mind. Near side receiver there, number 38, and Matt Neal, test for Kabir. And he'll be the lone side receiver here on the numbers near side to your screen. Blitz here by the Rhinos. They get it out quickly in response. Nice grab by Ewington. Won't be able to advance the football though, regardless. Maybe picked up a few inches out of that snag. So that'll make it fourth down here. Napier going to the sideline. Is he getting a play? He is, I think. Ben McIntosh stays on the sideline. The Gold Coast Stingrays will go for it here, trailing 13-0 middle of the first quarter. Fourth down, they're going to need about 1.5 yards to keep this drive alive. They're going to have to speed it up here. Not a whole lot of time left on the play clock. Signified there from wideout Brian Balsamo. They give it to Gab Salvo. Gab Salvo, as elusive as he is, cannot shake that ferocious front. I think that's Ryan Glasson getting the drive ending TFL, and the Rhinos offense back on the field. Definitely more a run-stuffing defense in place here. The last couple broadcasted games by the Brisbane Rhinos forced them to involve a few different players, and a few other players have probably had to sacrifice a few snaps in the process. I think Will Edmonton is one of those guys. Started the year at will, and just because of the extra linemen, probably lost a few snaps in the process, but that's all part of running a defense. Sometimes it can be feast and famine, as Riley Wood shakes and bakes his way down to the left-hand sideline. Ignoring the flag, he's got the first down, but we've got 2 penalty markers down there about the Stingrays at 25 and 30. There might be a hold in the backfield here. We've spoken about the Gold Coast Stingrays' unavailabilities through injuries and whatnot, and there are some real key injuries, and I'll get to them in a second, but the Brisbane Rhinos are a team dealing with that as well. Holding on the offense is officially called here, and 2 holdings in fact. That'll decline one except the other. But one of the healthiest spots for the O-line as of today right now is that offensive line. An O-line that's so healthy, in fact, that experienced lineman Josh Koo can sort of sit on the sideline a little bit there as they debut or continue to run through some of these new exciting first-year players. Right now they create a good pocket here for Riley Dix, getting underneath it. Was a wide receiver there, and Jared Toshak did hold in the air probably a little longer than he expected. Incomplete. There's one of those guys. You can see number 67, and Michael Volkanovski knows John Duncan here at Franklin very well. A West Brisbane Panther when he's not being a Brisbane Rhino in the Brisbane Rugby League tiers. Following that holding penalty, a play to go. I've got 2nd and double sticks. Probably looking at 2nd and 11 here. 2nd and 21, I apologise. As Wood will take it on the counter. Takes a while to develop that play, but it does end up picking up maybe 7 yards thereabouts on this play, and then I'll make it somewhat more of a more manageable third down. Still double sticks ahead of the Brisbane Rhinos, but they are inside Gold Coast territory. Probably the more relevant part of that information here, if they can get some yards here. It obviously puts them in 4th down territory, or even can put them closer here for kicker Tom Fenwick to try and convert a long field goal. So check this, quads now out to the short side of the field. Shanks, Fenwick, Williams, who's yet to catch a pass, and Toshak out to the right-hand side of the field. But the first look is out to the 13 and Lockie Taylor. He bent the route out to the left. That falls incomplete. Now they'll have a long fourth down here, but Dix doesn't look like he's coming to the sideline. The Rhinos will go for it here, and they're in a pretty healthy position, up 13 towards the back end of the first quarter. That's the third possession of the game. The last possession, an intercept by Gold Coast safety Matthew Major. Protection was solid, but Riley Dix, my apologies, will run, and I'm just checking about whether he gets a first down or not. And he does not. Fall short about a yard, maybe a yard and change, and that will be a turnover on downs. The Gold Coast Stingrays doing a good job turning him away there and keeping this scoreline to 13-0. And you're already seeing a few players. I think Denton, I don't know if that's just a show of affection from teammates there, but he almost looks like he's getting carried off there. He did limp off the field a little earlier in this game following a carry at tailback. First down and 10. Matthew Major in motion, again moving to the small spread look, one of their two formations we've seen this evening. A little bit of time there, now flag thrown back from the area of holding, and a nice comeback route by Tesfa Gabir. But it looks like this play could be coming back, and we've also got a Rhino down at the Stingrays 14. I don't know if that's a hold or just a good block there from the Gold Coast Stingrays. We'll wait for this penalty to be assessed. Both plays seem to be up, so that's good news. I think it might have been full Molly. That was down there. But in any case, all D linemen and all offensive linemen are up for each team respectively. Week 8 here in Gridiron, Queensland. Last week of the regular season. Next week we'll be coming live to you from Deception Bay. 3 games as both the Rhinos and the Moreton Bay / Sunshine Coast Raptors Spartans. I think I managed to combine the two names effectively there. The Raptors and the Spartans, my apologies. They'll be broadcasting both of their games, and the Rhinos will be broadcasting the Rhinos against the Ravens. The Ravens, with a win tonight over the Spartan Raptors, could lock up the #1 seed and a direct route to the Sun Bowl. First and double sticks here. It was a hold on the Gold Coast Stingray. Tesfa Kabir gets a nice curl route, trying to shake the first tackler. Cannot. Initial contact on that play is tonight's starting cornerback is Jeremy Cowles. Took over middle of the season as a couple of the starting corners went down for the Brisbane Rhinos. One of them are back actually tonight. Nate Ashton Miles is returning in jersey number 16. Dealt with an injury. Actually had a fantastic game before, and I believe won his team MVP award before he was ruled out for a week or two, or a couple of weeks. It's hard to sort of factor the injury time with all the sort of washouts we've had in between. And on top of that, there has been the return of the back half of the defensive backs with Cheyam James and Tyson Snag, the two starting safeties for the Brisbane Rhinos. Their return as well, as we see the first quarter come to a close. The Brisbane Rhinos, they lead the Gold Coast Stingrays at 13-0. Let's take this opportunity to acknowledge our sponsors, and I'm hoping one or two of them will jump up with me. But for the Brisbane Rhinos, Australian manufactured vehicles. Later on we will be getting Eddie Cockwa to talk about that. Our sponsor, they were here earlier today, we'll mention them a little later, Resistance Sports Science and Brisbane Flag American Football, helping out the Rhinos. And to acknowledge the Stingray sponsors, Doozy Designs, Academy 49, their charity, Now I Can Run, Tom Rifford, who was one of the Stingrays old boys, Sporting Globe, Byron Grill at Rabina, Pure Spring Water, and Kenya Springs, as well as Formula Project Management, those sponsors for the Gold Coast Stingrays. But yes, Oz and V, I do look forward to having a chat with Eddie Cockwa. I think he'll be here after 7:30. He's one of the Rhinos old boys joining us later tonight. Always good for a chat, never short of an opinion, old Eddie Cockler, and looks like we're going to get a false start here on Gold Coast. Getting pinned for that, I think it was Cameron Ewington. So it'll be 5 yards on a drive that's already behind the sticks due to a holding call. It's a little more difficult here for the Gold Coast Stingrays. Here in the second quarter, 13-0, the scoreline. Timeout will be taken here from the Gold Coast Stingrays, their first of the first half. And here for the last time, or possibly the last time, I did hear there rumours of Don Duncan, or Frank Lind in total, hosting the playoffs. I believe it'll be between either them or Logan City, yet to be determined. Take this opportunity here in the first quarter to acknowledge how nice the fields do look here on Don Duncan Oval. I feel like it wasn't too long ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, that actually this very field was scrutinised by many in GQ for being one of the sandier ones, and dare I say it, unsafe ones around the league. But geez, times have changed, and the folk here at West Mitchelton Rugby League have certainly invested some money into this ground. I'll go ahead and say it's probably one of the softest and well kept throughout Gridiron Queensland. I feel like I can safely probably say that. It's had quite a few games on it ever since the West Brisbane Panthers finished up their season earlier in the year, and it's still looking very strong here as we are midway through November. And I think that caught the attention of GQ Hall of Famer Justin Fernley, who also gave his compliments to the field on the Gridiron Queensland past and present page, which is always a fun forum for conversation, if I do say so myself. Second down, plenty of yardage to go. My guesstimation would be close to 25 yards in total. Dylan Napier at quarterback, 3 receivers to the open side of the field. They look for the screen, and then coming across field was Major. Pass incomplete. I'll bring up third and extremely long here for Gold Coast. Touching more on some of these injuries. It's their offense on the field now, but a couple of key guys on the defensive side of the field for Gold Coast. Jamal Sinapati broke his foot a few weeks back. He's still floating around on crutches. I think tonight he's actually had defensive play calling duties and is playing absence. Blake Hatchman, I think, had a hamstring injury at the start of this week, so there's 2 very veteran players to this defense they no longer have access to. On top of that, Matt Owani, also unavailable on the offensive line, one of their key youngsters and very much a starter on the offensive line. He fought through injuries for much of this year as Napier is forced to pull this back in. He'll run with it and is taken down before we can do too much with it, and that is trying to make out the number there. I don't think that's Big Joe once again. Couldn't know. I think that was Trey for Molly. Taking Napier down on 3rd and long, and looks like Ben Mack will have to try and punt them out of trouble here. Rhinos defense looking pretty resilient so far and pretty stingy, dare I say, in this opening half of football here in week 8. Stingrays yet to see the other side of the field. 1 possession deep into the second quarter. Back to punt. First one was a shocker. Second one was not bad, and this one looked terrible coming off the boot here, and Shanks, seeing an opportunity there, tries to pick it up and run with it when everyone was in poison mode. Managed to add an extra 6, maybe 7 yards at the end of that punt there. Probably didn't get as much purchase of it as he would like. Benjamin McIntosh. So the Rhinos start with the ball at approximately the Stingrays 30. The Stingrays defense stood strong last drive, forcing a turnover on downs. Prior to that, an intercept. The defense has only allowed one touchdown so far, which was on a one-play drive for the Rhinos to open their account at the start of the day. Pick 6 out of the other touchdown. Dix with time, throws over the middle. Intended for Max Williams for the first time tonight, and almost picking that off was veteran linebacker Scott Falcon Bice. So incomplete, second down and 10 here for Gold Coast. Pass here from Dix over the top, and intercept number 2 here from Matt Major, who's now got more catches on defense than he does on O for this evening. So the offense may be taking a while to click together, but this Gold Coast Stingrays showing up here in week 8, particularly that man Matthew Major. You'd have to figure that momentum can really swing Gold Coast's way here with the way this defense has been playing. If they can get one time-consuming touchdown-ending drive, that should do wonders for this team's confidence, who can try to maybe slow down this Rhinos offense, which has the ability to score and score quickly. Of course, it was only 2 possessions, with the last touchdown coming quite late when these two teams last competed back in week 4 on this very same field. First down and 10. Napier's back. He's back with Gab Salvo. 20 on the line. All rush for the Brisbane Rhinos. Gab Salvo looking for space. They've been pretty good bottling him up so far. Keeps the legs churning. And picks up maybe a full yard for his troubles. Seeing where the down marker finishes. They're going to credit him with actually closer to 4. We'll call that 2nd and 7 here. And he gets that ball past the Stingrays 30. Very well spoken young man, Gab Salvo, an aspiring video maker. He runs a videography business, primarily right now doing weddings, as many videographers do, cutting their teeth in the business. And there's a big creative side to him, and in fact I think that's how he found himself back at the Gold Coast Stingrays. They originally brought him on just to do some pre-season media stuff for the Stingrays, and I guess the itch had to be scratched at that point, and now he is starting at running back for the Columbia Blue. 2nd and 6. Showing blitz, the Brisbane Rhinos, they send 5, and it's a nice catch there for Major, who now equals touches both offensive and defensive sides of the ball. 2 catches, 2 intercepts. And he has been a key find for them, Matthew Major. Saw him warming up a little earlier today as I went down to Stingrays warm-ups. And I'll tell you this, and I don't think the young man would be offended by me saying this, but certainly doesn't look like he lacks confidence. Very comfortable in his own skin, and you need those players who bring an air of swagger to the team, especially when your team hasn't had the opportunities they probably would have liked, given some of the circumstances they've fought through here in 2021. Another good stop here from the Brisbane Rhinos defense on a Gab Salvo. He gets it to the 50-yard line, however, 2nd and 5. Right on halfway. Second down and 5 here. Just another shout out to our sponsors, Resistance Sports Science, I sponsor Australian manufactured vehicles and Brisbane Flag American football. Some of those guys will be joining me shortly. So all things Rhinos. But right now, a 2nd and 5 here for the Gold Coast Stingrays, right on midfield. Salvo immediately met with company, and that is Rhino Ryan Newton chugging him along there. Definitely flirted with the rule of aiding the runner. Now, they've relaxed that rule in certain times now where you can actually push the ball carrier forward. No dramas there. That used to be penalised. Now the rule is you cannot actually pull your ball carrier forward. And in Ryan Newton's defence, except for maybe that picture there, he does end up behind Gab Salvo. I think the referee is probably allowed him to get away with that one. But that's the type of player Ryan Newton is. Will give up life and limb for his football team. That time, wrapping his arms around Gab Salvo and helping him across the line to gain. Fresh set of downs here for the Gold Coast Stingrays. The visitors trailing by 13. Quick start from the Brisbane Rhinos, but a couple of big defensive stands from the once multi-champion Gold Coast Stingrays. First down and 10. Napier got time, has to pull it down, under pressure, will have to take it and run, and he's broken a few tackles there and will scrum his way to a couple yards short of a first down. That play looked on the verge of disaster a good couple of times there, but Napier using his athleticism to escape danger. And the pump fake there, getting full molly up in the air. And a couple of arm tackles. Sam Bull with a miss, and the legs keep on driving for Napier as he makes this a 2nd and 2. Inside Rhinos territory now. Chance to add some points on the board. New running back in the backfield. That might be Louis Barisi possibly. As he gets cut and taken down. Will Saxby taking his legs out. There's the 90 and Louis Barisi. Known for his linebacking prowess, but does have a big ball carrying history due to his rugby league background. I think Louis and head coach Sam Harkness here, as we see a Brisbane Rhinos timeout. That's their first of the half here. And just again acknowledge the sponsors for tonight's broadcast. Homecoming week here at the Brisbane Rhinos. Frank Lindover. And a big shout out again to AusMV, Australian manufactured vehicles for all your American left-hand drive vehicles here in Australia. I sponsor connecting clubs and small businesses, big and large, very easily. Resistance Sports Science and Brisbane American Football making this Rhinos TV broadcast happen, and the Stingrays have also chipped in with a bit of help here. You can see their sponsors on screen as well, doing their part to make the broadcast happen. And the club's doing a wonderful job stepping up and making sure the stream stayed a reasonably weekly thing for everyone who've enjoyed our streams and broadcasts throughout season 2021. We appreciate your company here this evening and hopefully for the weeks to come. It's all systems goes and moving forward here. As I said, the last week of the regular season broadcast next week, and of course the playoffs being broadcast, and then the Sun Bowl on December 11th coming live to you from Deception Bay. You will have the junior and senior Sun Bowl, possibly the Ghost, yet to be announced. Whether their game will be broadcasted as well. The Ghost of Gridiron, that organised by Justin Fernley, his proud project of a baby over the last decade of football. Third down and short here for the Gold Coast Stingrays. QB draw, Barisi will lead. Dylan Napier will try his best, and I think he's got it. Sam Bull was underneath, as was the 58, making a tackle there, and good question, not on my roster. Okay, stop there after a few number changes late here. Just checking, it looks like, could be wrong, but it does look like Frankie Tinalao Jr. pass here from Napier on the first down. Matthew Major, who's been a big factor tonight, picks up a nice chunk of yards there. 7 on that first down pass. This has been a great drive here for Gold Coast, and now inside the Rhinos red zone. They can use the second time out of the half, 1 remaining for them. And that's been a time-consuming one here for the Gold Coast. They would hate to come up with anything short of 6 here. Even a field goal might be a bit disappointing. Do have someone capable of kicking. Ben Mack, who I've only really seen punting the ball and catching the ball, I actually haven't seen his ability to land PATs and field goals. We'll see if that becomes a factor. However, they've still got 2 downs to play with here, or at least 1 down. Gold Coast Stingrays. So we're probably past the midway point of the second quarter here in this Week 8 broadcast. Gold Coast Stingrays at the Brisbane Rhinos here at the Brisbane Rhinos homecoming weekend. I've already seen some of the old boys as the lights on field 2 illuminate the backside of Don Duncan Field. It actually makes it remarkably easy to spot players on the far side, I'm not going to lie. 2nd down and 3 here for Gold Coast. A chance to maybe take a shot at the end zone here and try to convert on 3rd if they want it. 2 backs in the backfield now. I'm trying to make out, that might be, trying to make out who is at fullback. That is Ryan Newton leading the way for, I think, Denton. And he's still blocking all the way at the 1 yard line. And that is a 1st down. Excellent drive here. Only continues here for Gold Coast. I can't help but laugh there. 16. Ryan Newton, known to play 2 and through that whistle. 1st down and 10 here. Ball spotted, I think, on the Rhinos 15. 2 back formation once again. Looks like that's reserved for the red zone. They're going for the end zone here. However, it's too long. Pass intercepted by Chiam James. James is going to try to return this back. Has got a couple of blockers ahead of him and eventually run out of bounds at the Rhinos 34. And a disappointing end to that drive for the Gold Coast Stingrays. Thought they had something going. Took a shot at the end zone, but the experienced pass defender and Chiam James made it look like the pass was intended for him. And he's the type of guy who could have taken that back for the full 90. Good job from the Gold Coast Stingrays offense to make sure that didn't happen, but Rhinos playing that bend, don't break. That is the most successful drive the Stingrays have had so far. Delay here, Riley Wood breaking a tackle. How did he manage that? And picks up the 1st down following that run. Has been quite the revelation at tailback. Probably started close to maybe 3rd on this running back depth chart. Although Coach Sam Harkness did say at the start of the season it was going to be a running back by committee there, but that was before they lost JJ Camargo. They lost Dean Latimahina for a couple of weeks throughout the season, including tonight. And Riley Wood has largely been the man, along with Angus Franz, who is also unavailable tonight, to carry the rock here for the Brisbane Rhinos. Underneath the target was Fenwick. Pass off target, incomplete on 1st down. Score unchanged there. Stingrays threatened to score last drive. Red zone intercept put an end to that. And here they are, the Rhinos immediately on the counter-attack, trying to add their score of the day. So far, one of those have been offense, the other a Will Saxby pick 6. Speed option to the left. Riley Dix shakes one and pitches it off to Wood. And I have just got confirmation that it is the 58 is Frankie Tinelauer with a number change. Frankie Tinelauer Jr. that is. His father also playing on this team. And a lot of these guys playing both Iron Man football, should I say. Playing both offensive and defensive line, which I guess comes with the territory when you run close to 5 down linemen on defense. 3 receivers out to the left here for the Brisbane Rhinos. Dix pulls one back, steps up in the pocket, will flirt with the line of scrimmage, and it looks like he flirted just that little bit too much. Flags come out, and I think that pass came out in front of the line of scrimmage. For those who might be new to the game, the quarterback has to release that ball, at least any pass that goes forward, from behind the original line of scrimmage. Otherwise, it is deemed an illegal forward pass, and I'm hazarding a guess that's what's about to be assessed. Nope. And they've come together, Brian Balsamo and his sideline official, to sort of figure out exactly where they wanted to agree with the ball was released, and that flag is waved off. No penalty and no loss of down here. Means it's not 4th down. They actually had Fenwick out there, I think possibly set to punt. Or have they still? There's still a bit of confusion here. Hold the phone. You've got to be kidding me. So, I don't know if the penalty was assessed or not. The Rhinos, it is 4th down. I thought it would have been a loss of down. In any case, I'll play catch up myself. It is 4th and long. Now, this is going to be an extremely long field goal. The ball is set on the 35. Snap is awkward but up, and the field goal is wider left. Now, just using the general maths of adding 17, that would have been credited as a 52-yard field goal, which I would say would be the longest field goal in GQ Men's Division history. The longest I remember being hit, I think, was a 43-yarder from then Raven Jordan Cito, but even that was disallowed due to an offside. And I think Coach Harkness did say that Fenwick landed close to a 50-yarder in one of the games that wasn't broadcasted. I'll have to get some clarification on that, but in any case, the Rhinos trying to break some records out here. And in turn, with a field goal sailing wide left, have gifted field position here to the Gold Coast Stingrays. Score still 13-0. Salvo has been kept quiet tonight. He advances this ball for a few yards, getting it just shy of his own 40. That is a 2-minute warning here, close to halftime. There's been some long drives from both of these teams. Only the 2 touchdowns scored. The only offensive touchdown coming so far through the one-play drive from the Brisbane Rhinos, where the defense managed to get a punt block on the Stingrays' opening possession. The closest game we've broadcasted this year was between these two teams, and it certainly looks like a similar occurrence is happening now in front of us here. Once again, week 8 here at Frank Lind Ovals. Homecoming week, Brisbane Rhinos. 2nd down and 6. Gold Coast in possession. Napier with a tight end and 3 wide receivers. He'll throw to the left, finding Major. Major shakes a tackle. He's out and free. He's racing. Cheyenne James, and James will get him at the own 15. But Matt Major's night continues to be padded in the stat sheet. And now the Stingrays, with their most explosive play of the evening, are inside the Rhinos' red zone. Play action pass there, and it's really this play. It was well covered, but the spin move there beating, I think, possibly Cows on the outside, and the long strides of Chiam James puts that play to an end. A nice hit at the end of that run. But now the Stingrays with a bit of momentum. Possibly one of the risks of going for a field goal around midfield. Near side receiver, number 10, Ian Sabat, yet to receive a target here from Dylan Napier. A couple of tight ends here, possibly to aid against this 5-man front. And there, I got to say that I think it's actually helping here. They're sacrificing the receiver in what's usually a pretty high spread 3-by-1 spread formation. They're dropping a couple of blockers in to try and combat this 5 and sometimes 6-man front presented by the Brisbane Rhinos. So, second down and 10. And Napier will take it himself. And we'll grab 5 yards there. And we'll see how they attack the Rhinos now inside the 15 following this at their last time down here. And a third down and 5 upcoming. And we have a Rhino down here at the end of that play there. Can't quite make out who it is. We might take a short break here as that player is assessed and try to grab a little more information, including some of the sponsors who should be joining me here tonight. Be right back. Excuse me as I cough with a little bit of ice out of my throat there as I come back on audio. 13-0, the score is inside the final 2 minutes of half number 1 here, week 8. Gold Coast Stingrays visitors here at Frank Lind Oval, the home of the Brisbane Rhinos, celebrating homecoming week here on the penultimate week of the 2021 regular season. Ball was up in the air, up for grabs for anyone who was underneath of it. Fortunately for the Gold Coast Stingrays, it falls incomplete because there were 2 Rhinos, including Chiam James, who's already got 1 intercept tonight on the last time they were down here. And you can see how quickly Chiam James reacts to that. The moment he sees the fade as a potential threat, turns his hips and immediately sprints for it. Couldn't bring it down though, so another chance here, this time on 4th down for the Gold Coast Stingrays, keeping 2 in the backfield, which has largely been their feature inside the red zone. Gab Salvo, will he be the guy trusted to handle it? That he will. Tries to bounce, but how about the run defense by the Brisbane Rhinos this evening? Gab Salvo has largely been the feature of the Gold Coast Stingrays attack throughout 2021. The Rhinos have forced them to find answers elsewhere. and come up with a big 4th down stop to keep their 2 touchdown lead here towards the end of the first half. So there won't be a whole lot of time here. The Brisbane Rhinos, by my count, have 2 timeouts remaining here and probably just under a minute of play if they want to try and add some points. That said, they did try a lofty 52-yard field goal last drive here, so if they can get anywhere close to the 35, I'd hazard a guess they'll reload and try again. New back in the backfield now. I think it's Aguero. He will venture down to the near side sideline. Can't find a whole lot of space, and the Gold Coast Stingrays are there for the stop. Making the stop there, the number 80 there, and Nata Togafu. Togafau, correct. And as I said, a change in running back, Jonathan Lopez. Aguero, as this pass sails well deep of its intended target here, and that can happen in this Rhinos offense. In this run and shoot style of passing attack, I hear from Sam Harkness as they'll use their second timeout. Largely the chat would have stopped there on the incomplete pass, but clearly want to have a discussion here. Tried to listen out to Brian Bowles. I'm going to see if I can capture how many seconds were left in this first half. It can't be a whole lot, but in this run and shoot offense where receivers and the quarterback both are reading on the fly and reacting to what they see out there, you can see some communication errors or mental disagreements, if you will. Receiver will see one thing and will run one thing in kind, and the quarterback will see otherwise and will throw in kind, and that's when you'll see some passes sailing 20 yards north and south of their wide receivers' intended catch radius. 3rd down and 10 here. I think by my count, 1 timeout left remaining for the Brisbane Rhinos. Holder Shanks only had 1 or 2 targets tonight. One of those came off his hands and resulted in an intercept. And of course, I haven't yet mentioned the congratulations to Calder Shanks, who recently committed to some aspirations as this pass is tipped at the line of scrimmage, possibly even a fumble. Ryan Glasser is on it. They tried to get Fenwick on that big orbit motion, which usually is saved for Bailey Tottle, but I have noticed Bailey Tottle on the sidelines in street clothes today, so he is not kitted up and playing. You can see the flag coming in there. We'll soon see why that's assessed, or if it's assessed. A number of penalty markers waved off here this evening. Forgive me, not quite certain what that penalty call was, but it is against the Brisbane Rhinos. It should be half distance to the goal here. And the Brisbane Rhinos might consider just finding a way to run this clock out. I'm just looking at the down marker. They've got it as 3rd down. I think it might be flipped over to 4th here, following that penalty. I think what the Stingrays did, they declined that penalty, took the loss of down, which obviously made it 4th down, and now the Brisbane Rhinos will punt this ball away and give the Gold Coast Stingrays a small chance and a small little bit of time with the football before the close here of half number 1. It very well could just be this punt return that we have time for. Fenwick leans back, drops it a fair way away, got a good gust of breeze behind that one, and what a friendly bounce. That'll be one of the longest punts we will see this season. The brand will be happy. So I think any aspirations the Gold Coast Stingrays might have had of getting a good return and a chance at the end zone has been wiped with that one. I had Coach Sam Harkness trying to request the length of distance. I'm going to signal on that I'm not going to crunch the numbers on that one. Although, do we have a replay at all of that? We might just see where the line of scrimmage was. So they punted that, from their own 15. And that's now being marked at the 12. So someone else do the maths here. We've got a 90-yard field. I will be kind enough, actually. Oh, no, that's a... Hang on. As I will quickly request that my audio gets pulled down as I yell across the field. As we're back here, by my count, a 63-yard punt if we're going from the line of scrimmage. That last Fenwick punt, and that was enough to deter the Gold Coast Stingrays from attempting anything here on their final play of half number one. That brings us to halftime, ladies and gentlemen. The Rhinos tempted to really blow out this scoreline early in this game in the first quarter, getting to a 13-0 lead here, but this Gold Coast Stingrays defense certainly tightened up since then. That will be your halftime score, 13-0 here. Halftime, week 8, homecoming week here for the Brisbane Rhinos out of Franklin Oval. We're going to take a short break for halftime. On the other side of it, hopefully a few of these Rhino sponsors join me as we get kicked into the second half. All right, second half about to be underway here. Week 8, the Brisbane Rhinos leading the Gold Coast Stingrays 13-0 here following 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. And now I'm not going to be on my lonesome for a drive or two. It is homecoming week here at Frank Lind Oval. Onside kick attempt here from the Gold Coast Stingrays, almost coming off for them. The Brisbane Rhinos, by my guesstimation, will come away with it. Not without significant efforts there from the Gold Coast Stingrays. But as I said, it's homecoming week here in the penultimate round of the Gridiron Queensland season, and that means old boys are coming near and far to return to the Brisbane Rhinos. And right with me now, one of my favourite Brisbane Rhino old boys, my former competitor, my former coach and confidant, Phil Levis, one of the former coaches of both the seniors, former players in the seniors, and obviously long-time junior coach at the Brisbane Rhinos. Welcome back to the booth, Phil, and welcome back to homecoming week here for the Brisbane Rhinos.
Yeah, lovely to be here. Great to see a few old souls downstairs.
Some still on the field.
Yes, a couple of them still on the field. Hi, Joe. Hi, Ryan.
Made a good tackle there earlier. Two back-to-back tackles.
Nice hit. I was a bit worried when that lineman went down over in the corner. I thought that was him. I'm like, oh, no, he's still alive. Maybe another year.
Father Time hasn't caught up with him yet. Here is the Rhinos, who deferred their first half option, who so therefore started with the ball here in the second half. And that will be a sack, I believe, on the play there. No gain on the play. Riley Dix throwing 1 touchdown pass and a pair of intercepts so far in this game. Yeah, what have you made of the game so far, Phil? Started off fast for the Rhinos.
Yeah, started off fast. Thought it might have been a little bit of a blowout at the start, but no, the Stingrays have come back and have settled their defense down and got some good gains on the run. They need to work on their passing game, as do the Rhinos. The Rhinos started out hot and have sort of settled down a little bit.
And that is there, Riley Wood, doing a good job. I was singing his praises of his job of being effectively the primary back this season, despite the Rhinos starting with a running back by committee at the start of the season, but with all the injuries, he's taken the lead role. Now, were you around when Joel Wood was floating around the league, and from originally Toowoomba and then the Ravens?
Possibly, but I'm horrible with names.
Oh, another intercept! That's the 3rd pick of the night here for Matthew Major! Matthew Major, 3 picks here, 2 in the first half, now 1 in the second. Oh, wow. This young man, who I said is a very confident rookie on this Gold Coast Stingrays team, is now leading the team in big plays this evening. What did you see there, Phil?
Yeah, just thrown a bit behind him. Obviously didn't identify that the safety was there in the area, and yeah, made a good read and a good jump on the ball.
You've coached a number of good defensive backs in your time there. I remember especially a couple of good safeties who I'm waiting for one day to return to the Rhinos.
A lot of them have moved on and got families and what have you.
Haven't they just? But what really stands out he's a brand new player to the game of Gridiron this year, Matthew Major. Started the year at wide receiver, now finds himself at defensive back as we see a run here to Gab Salvo, who might have been popped open. Is that Gab Salvo, or have we got number 3 on the field? There's no 3, so I'm assuming that's Gab. It was. Explain to me how some players just instinctively know how to find the football on defense.
A lot of it is just confidence. He's obviously got got the mentality to be able to back himself. Part of that might come from not having a whole lot of experience and not knowing what can go wrong on certain plays if you do get it wrong.
Exactly right. All he sees is football and goes up
backing himself, and he's coming up trumps at the moment. So yeah, out there on offense as well, I see.
There he is, yes. As I said, start of the year as their starting slot. Really impressed me in their first game against the Ravens despite being in a blowout loss. Now he's being used in motion. They pop past him in the first half. They faked that this time. Give it to Gab Salvo. Nice jump cut. But they're tackling tonight. Bar 1 or 2 plays, and there was one against Matthew Major where he slipped in for a long gain. Tackling by the Rhinos tonight has been pretty solid.
Yeah, only a couple of times that last long run at the end of the first half where they missed a tackle. But other than that, they've been getting to the man with the ball and then getting him on the ground pretty quickly.
Now, I've been speaking how the Rhinos have adjusted their defense, played almost like a more definitely pass defensive oriented sort of offense at the start of the year. Now we've moved to this heavy bear front, running 5 on the line here. How hard it is as a defensive coordinator to sort of suck up your pride and really change things midway through the season.
Yeah, especially something like a 5-man front, your blocking schemes would definitely change a lot.
Oh, pass completed here for the Gold Coast. Nice tackle there from Tyson Snag. Bringing them inside the 5 though. That is Aryan Sabet. Didn't get a single target in the first half. Makes a huge catch there on second down. Giving them a fresh set here and attacking the red zone.
Yeah, you'd be designing your run plays based on either a 3-man or 4-man front, and suddenly seeing a 5 might take a little bit of adjusting to, although you could just sub in your 3-man blocking scheme for that.
They do. All right, red zone has been more of a blue zone for the Gold Coast Stingrays this evening. Dylan Napier this time with a QB keeper, looking for the signs. The Stingrays are on the board. It's taken them all the way to their first drive in the second half. But Matty Major sets up this Dylan Napier touchdown run with an intercept, his 3rd of the evening, and this time they don't get cute with it. They don't put it in the air. They just get one of their best ball carriers in Napier to cross the line.
That was their mistake last time, was trying to put it up in the air and running into a ball hawk like CJ. This time, I think that looked a little pretty much designed run for the QB then, so a good play call there from the Stingrays.
Touchdown. So Napier, they're going to try and go for the thought. No, are they going to? No, they're not. Okay, this is James Hobby lining up. It is the veteran James Hobby, the left footer, snaking one through, and we've got a 6-point game, 13-7. The score here, very early in the third quarter. What do you make of the game now?
That's definitely brought alive that drive, that intercept and drive. That's put them. The Rhinos have got to really get a good drive going and get at least decent field position, if not a touchdown on this, to really keep the gap between them.
Sam Harkness, he runs this offense. It's inspired from his time in Hawaii. He loves airing the ball out to his multitude of wide receivers there. But a couple of picks now, 3 in fact. The turnovers are getting pretty sketchy. Against the USQ Mustangs, they had quite a few. They ended up getting a strong win against them. Do you start to get worried now against a team that's starting to heat up a little bit in this game against the Gold Coast Stingrays?
Yeah, the temptation there will be to switch back to a more run-heavy approach. We'll see what he goes, whether he backs his QB or whether he plays it a bit more safe on this drive.
Now, remind me, did you get any time coaching Riley Dix back in his junior days, or was that just after you?
I think that was just after me.
Riley Dix, Sam Bradford, that's how long it's been.
Yeah,
been out of the junior game. I feel like those kids have been around for a while.
Yeah, it's been 5 years since I coached juniors, so yeah.
2016, your final year?
I think so, yeah.
And then you coached seniors in 2017, didn't you?
Yeah, just offensive coordinator at seniors.
And this is a low line drive. This will be picked up as that Sam Bull over that far side. And it won't be bad. These Stingrays are celebrating, but the Rhinos are set up just past their own 30 here, and it will be interesting to see how Coach Sam Harkness and Riley Dixon will react to this the most recent turnover. Yeah,
will they keep airing it out to their receivers, or will they go more ground-based, or will they use a bit of play action? I imagine might come in soon as well.
Well, it is interesting. Coach Harkness, he did say that, you know, they are down to 2 running backs now. One of them only more recently added to the crew over the last couple of weeks. So he said, we're probably going to throw in a few empty sets, to be honest, to account for that. But obviously hard to run the ball when you've got no running backs in the backfield. almost a quick jump there from Sam Matautia.
Oh,
long
good.
pass downfield to Max Williams, who's been kept extremely quiet tonight after the hot start he had to season 2021.
Can I call it or can I call it?
Go on and
Play
call
action straight off the bat. Stingrays were expecting run, and yeah, if had it been able to hook up there, that was gone, I think.
Did I call in Phil Levis or Tony Romo?
I'm not that. I was almost about to say, look for the screen game.
I don't know. Not if anyone loves
But
screens
that's
as
an
much
old
as you do.
inside joke between me and Kenny, yeah.
Yes, the old inside screen. We'll never forget it. Riley Wood this time. The backfield of Riley and Riley, adding another couple of yards on first down there. Oh, sorry, second down. This will be a 3rd and long.
Yeah, they needed a bit more than that from that play. Now they're in a hard spot. They've pretty much got to throw here.
And this will also show where Sam Harkness's confidence is if they do choose to run it and then just try to convert on a shorter 4th down, which is certainly not beyond the options I've seen Sam Harkness take.
I think if they were the other side of the 50, I'd support that, but not here.
Short pass is available if he wants it. He'll take the median option. Max Williams has got himself a catch.
And a first down by looks.
Oh, it does. In fact, the line to gain was the 41. Max Williams catching that just inside Stingrays territory there. So
Stingrays only rushing 3 there, which left a lot of time in the pocket, and he could find someone open.
thought for a second he was going to take Fenwick there. Good job looking downfield and getting a bigger slice of that pie. Would have been a fair bit of work underneath there for Fenwick had he had to catch that. First down and 10. Passing game still very much a factor here. Dix looking left, throwing left, another, oh, what surely possibly could have been intercept number 4, and I think that very well could have been going back for 6.
Yeah, he needs to work on that. He needs to work on spotting where the DBs are and either just pulling it down or throwing it away, because that was asking to be picked off there.
That is Lucas Alfrank, the young junior in his first year of seniors, in dismay at the opportunity that fell through his hands.
2 receivers in the same area. There may have been a busted route.
Yeah, both receivers reading differently on their coverage. All these choice routes. 3 receivers out to the far side of the field. Dix on second down will hand off to Wood. Wood trying to find his blocks. Good left hand stiff arm and tiptoes the sideline for what is just short of a fresh set of downs.
You've got 8 or 9 yards there. Good blocking on the offensive line on the right hand side. Really stuck with their men the whole way and let the running back make the decision after getting to the line of scrimmage.
Really, for a smaller back, he looks like he really runs with good leverage, and those stiff arms have been more productive than I probably would have given him credit for. 3rd down, and I was a bit generous with the spot. There's about a full 2 yards to convert here. Dix wants Williams over the middle, he gets it. And the man dubbed by his teammates of Max Hands of Gourds Williams provides the safety blanket there on that 3rd down conversion.
Yeah, I think you're going to be looking at that pairing quite a lot. To Williams, seems to be quite reliable. That's 2 catches in a row now he's made them for first downs. Whether the Stingrays key on that and start double teaming or looking to pick off those routes, we'll see what happens.
Well, I only had the 1 target by my count in the first half. It was an incomplete pass. Otherwise, the Stingrays have done a pretty good job matching up with him. As I said, a huge start. Did you catch who called that timeout? Yeah,
no, I didn't actually. No.
In any case, yes, Max Williams had a quick start to the season, was constantly going touchdown for touchdown with old Bones from the Bayside Ravens for the touchdown leaders, but I think since then Warwick Russell has truly grabbed the lead on that tally.
Yeah, the Ravens have been dominant this year, so you'd expect them to be leading most of the stats.
And how about the surprise mid-season retirement from Darius Holiday-Miller, long-time
Yeah, you've told me numerous times over many years that, he's retired this year, but much like Joe Tumavave, he just keeps coming back for more.
Well, this is the first time he really made an announcement about it, so we'll see. I'm sure there's nothing. I saw him playing a bit of rugby over the weekend there, so possibly maybe some other challenges have become.
As with him and Joe and a few other people like Dan Clark and everything
Dan
over
Clark,
the years.
Mooney.
I'll believe them when they're a year out of the game.
As we see Riley Dix here, first down, holds it and pumps it and finds Toshak. A nice completion there, just outside of the Stingrays. The Stingrays red zone. Now Frank on the tackle.
Yeah, Rhinos receivers starting to really find the holes in the zones and settle in. That may have been what threw them earlier. They were expecting a bit more man than they got.
And we've got a Stingray down on the far side of the field, inside, around their own Stingrays 17. And talk about players who are really firmly entrenched into retirement. Another one of those players that we jokingly say retired a good handful of times, Damien Malloy.
Yes.
Truly stepped away, and I credit him. I understand his body absolutely needed that time away, the long-time Stingrays quarterback and defensive back.
Yeah. I remember watching, I think, the first game of the Stingrays you guys broadcast this season. I'm like, oh, number 9. Oh, I wonder who that is. I'm a little surprised the Stingrays didn't retire his number.
Well, that was Frankie's number, the number 9. It was Malloy was the 6.
Yes,
yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Easy numbers to confuse. But I thought
hard to claim a number when you've changed it a few times throughout your career.
Has he changed the one? I always remember Malloy as 6. Maybe. What did he wear in juniors?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've always thought of him as a 9, but that's...
Nah, that's Frank. You're going to remember the Frankie days.
Yeah.
Frankie in the 9, of course. Those single digits, extremely hard to get your hands on if you're a new player.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Good to see it happening in the NFL
Don't
a bit
get me
more
started
as well.
about that. I hate it. I hate it
don't
so
like it?
much. No. I'm too much of a traditionalist. We've got one player coming off here. It's one of the cornerback / receivers in Aiden Clark. He's making his way to the injury tent for the Gold Coast Stingrays. So their injury toll seems to just grow more and more. They've got to try and tough it through 1.5 more games of football here in season 2021. Dix pitches, shovel pass straight out of the Phil Levis playbook. Here goes Wood. And Wood will advance this well and truly for a first down on 2nd and short and get this inside the 15.
Yeah, nice play call. Very low risk on 2nd and short. A lot of teams will take a shot there, and that's why the Stingrays would have backed off and rushed their linemen as well. So
you sell 2nd and short. Now, Bradford's going to hate me for bringing this up. They tried that very same play with Mitch Bradford against the Ravens in week 3, and that ended up gifting Ravens captain and head coach Jason Leon with his very first career touchdown.
Yeah, can go wrong, but...
Again does. And over the middle, Max Williams held out no longer. They found a way to get him back involved, and Dix turns around his streak of intercepts.
Yeah, good work by the Rhinos adjusting, obviously at halftime, to what sort of coverages the Stingrays are running, and they're starting to pick them apart a little bit now. With the numbering thing, I suppose that goes back to when I first started playing, and through a lot of my playing career, there were no number restrictions.
Yeah, you have linemen wearing 3 and 9.
I played a lot of games at guard and number 5.
See, that makes me mad. Although, when a nose guard wears it, I'm weirdly okay with it.
Yeah.
Fenwick, is it an up and down night with the boot? Missed a field goal, albeit a very long one. Is this a fake? If it is, it's not a very good one.
Stingrays get on it. Miscommunication there.
I don't know if there was a kill call on a potential fake, or if maybe an early fire call happened.
No, that looked like he moved as soon as the ball was snapped. He was looking to move on that sweep. He was gone before the ball was even attempted to be put down. So that's obviously.
Then maybe the blame goes on Riley Dix there. It looks like he was trying to set up for a better hold. I don't know if he got the call, but I did just hear one of the sideline members go, "That was supposed to be a fake."
Yes.
So nevertheless, an unconverted 6 points added to the board. The Rhinos get that buffer they were hoping for, 19-7.
They still won't be comfortable now. They've really got to stop the Stingrays on this drive, because otherwise it becomes a tit-for-tat sort of situation, and only have to stuff up on one drive and you're behind.
Yep, they do, but
especially with the 2 missed extra points.
How about the Jimmy Maloney-esque mentality of Riley Dix? You know, throws 3 intercepts almost in a row consecutively in his last 3 drives, then comes back with a beautiful drive like that with a great touch on his pass to Max Williams.
There's a lot to be said for being able to clear your head and just go back to what works.
Exactly right, and it's hard to find in a quarterback. I've certainly seen a lot of quarterbacks over my years in GQ who, once they get into a hole, it becomes very hard to pull them out of it.
The mental game is key at that position.
Now, sometimes I wonder with the younger generation coming through, like Gen Z, who seem to have, dare I say, a lower attention span, but I think in some ways that sometimes works for them because they can forget errors so quickly.
A little bit, and because the style of the game has shifted as well to so much passing, they know they can't hide on that. They can't just, oh, we're just going to hand it off 10 times in a row.
And the volume of passing is obviously there as well. You know, like it's just, in many times you might, a quarterback back when, even when we were coaching, might only throw 20 times a game.
Yeah, now
throw one pick, that's the 20th. Now they're throwing 40, sometimes up to 50 times a game.
Yeah, so the ability to bounce back is
it's almost
very
necessary.
fundamental.
Yeah. In any case, Dylan Napier, one of those guys, I believe. Still handling duties at quarterback. Here goes Gab Salvo. What a jump cut to the outside. Look at him go, and it is Cheyenne James running him out of bounds. And that's probably the first time Gab Salvo has really managed to find a bit of grass here at Don Duncan.
Yeah, Rhinos just get stuck with their feet planted on the ground there a little bit.
Probably something that maybe with this 5-man front that is so very north-south based, I think if the Gold Coast Stingrays can get their stretch game going, the outside zone game going.
Yeah, which years ago used to be their whole bag.
Doesn't adjust, especially when the Luke Chapman years. Here goes Gab Salvo trying to find the outside again. The penetration made that very difficult for him. Still managed to grab maybe 4, if not 5 yards on the play.
Yeah, good effort after contact. Makes it a manageable third down. Not terrible.
Let's use you for your old boy knowledge for me with me, Phil Evers, as we turn this more into a podcast
My
here in the
memory
second half.
isn't that great.
But you were there as part. Were you there as part of the or maybe not the 2000 formation of the Rhinos, but certainly the early years?
No, I started at the Rhinos in 04. I was in the Ravens because I was living in that area the first 3 years.
Both teams founded in that 2000 year, started in 2001.
Yep, them and the Bears as well. Although the Bears claim their heritage longer than that, but of course, depends on who you talk to.
Early years, who was your first head coach?
First head coach?
Parky?
Parky was definitely the first head coach.
As we see Napier here under pressure, Full Molly's after him. Full Molly takes him down eventually with the help of Relton, Stewart and company.
Yeah, had him as a head coach in juniors the 2 years I played there, and then in 95 I think we didn't have a junior team, so everything moved up to seniors. And and hung around with him for quite a few years after that.
Of course,
a lovely man to play under, and an absolute
part of the GQ Hall of Fame that has continued there and has helped out with many Sun Bowls there. And Glenn, for those who might not know who Parky is, Glenn Parker, as said, one of the long-time coaches of both the Ravens and the Bayside Ravens when they were on the Bayside, and the Brisbane Rhinos. Coached a couple of Queensland Sun Devils teams as well.
Yeah, multiple Sun Devils teams, especially at junior level. He was like me, a big advocate of getting juniors up and going as the basis of the league.
He is now currently residing in New Zealand.
Yep, over there in Wellington with his lovely wife Bridget. Go over to visit when I can. Has been a couple of years.
Obviously very, very difficult in the landscape of international travel. Who took over after Parky? Surely there was a few before DC, I imagine.
No, I think it pretty much was
the transition
DC.
To Dan Clark?
There might have been technically, but in my recollection, he was the one leading the team after that.
Indeed. Sam Bullshow, blitz, drop back in coverage. Looking downfield. Wanted to find Ewington, pass sails out of bounds. Incomplete, and that'll bring up a third and very long here. So check that, 4th down here, and Ben McIntosh comes on to punt this ball the way you scored midway through the third, 19-7 in a pretty close game.
Yeah, Rhinos D stiffened on that drive. We'll see whether they can get another offensive drive going and really put this one to bed.
And then Dan Clark had quite a few years, and he, remind me, did he end up closing up his career on that close loss to the Gold Coast Stingrays in 2016, was it?
He came and helped us out a little bit in 2017, just in the transition, because we didn't really have a head coach that year.
He was almost head coach by committee. Almost,
yeah, a little bit, yeah, and that was part of some of the problems we had.
For sure. Ben And Mac, low snap, but he recovers it. Nice torp on this. Look at this. Wanting up the effort.
Kick.
If he can get this out of bounds. Oh, what a lovely day for the brand here this evening, week 8. Both punters taking advantage of this cross breeze moving right to left on your screen here. He one-ups the efforts from Fenwick in the first half. McAfee.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I think Adam Bolton, the usual color commentator with me, he'd be watching Tasmania, enjoying that. Loves a good punt. Jeez, Brand has been treated well today.
Well, that's put the onus back on the Rhinos offense. Can they get out of the shadow of their own goalposts?
Exactly. Well, especially with the DBs, the way the DBs are playing for Gold Coast right now, they're going to have to try and bounce back.
I would not be surprised with another play action here. Stingrays going too high, and play action and straight down the middle of the field.
All eyes are on them. He's just off screen at the moment, but the number 11 and Matthew Major, 3 intercepts tonight. Can he notch a 4th? Will Dix even look that direction? Well, hands it off, bounce to the outside, but a great tackle there from linebacker Scott Bice.
Looked like about 4 yards on that carry. Once again, running behind a big offensive line on the right-hand side.
I think Caleb Williams-Lee's now taking some reps there at right guard. Caleb Williams-Lee apparently wasn't supposed to be available for tonight. I think he got turned away at the border when trying to travel down to New South Wales. I don't know if I was supposed to reveal that, but I think he had aspirations to head to New South Wales. And Dix under pressure, taken down.
Yeah, don't quite know what happened there.
That is
obviously
not a
didn't read the linebacker scraping or something like that.
Quite possibly. We'll take a look at it again here on replay thanks to Samantha in the director's seat.
Oh, yeah, misread the DN there. Thought he was crashing down, but he was just leaning that direction. Hadn't actually turned the hips.
Veteran presence on the edge there, not a Togafu. Sorry, my apologies. Louis Breezy in the 90. I'm used to Louis playing in the middle.
Yeah.
Louis Breezy coming off the edge again. Trying to get a second sack. Evaded by Dix. Directing traffic. Can't get it away. And might have picked up, might have just got back to the line of scrimmage on that little scramble. 4th down now, and this Stingrays defense earns their offense the ball back.
Yeah, good work. They've obviously had a talk about their coverage. Playing a little bit more tighter to the man, which is affecting the Rhinos' ability to get the ball downfield. The two guys who've threatened to take the ball back defensively, Major and Al Frank, down back deep to return here. You can see they're respecting the depth of punt put on display by Fenwick in the second quarter. The wind has largely died down after that last punt by McIntosh. Good snap. Glasson, one of the best long snappers in the league. Under it is Al Frank. Frank tries to juke one defender, and I think that is Cowles coming with the form tackle out in the open field. Great job on special teams there to Jeremy Cowles. Good read on the tackle, just sunk his hips, didn't get fooled, and managed to get a good grip on him. Any coach who coached throughout the noughties will be proud of that tackle. Yeah. The old form tackle guides. I mean, that's it's weird actually. A lot of tackling styles have moved away from that, going to the newly adapted, more rugby-orientated tackles, the Seahawks tackles as they're credited for. The head behind the legs, hit and roll. Yeah, with the concussion protocols and everything becoming an important part of the game, that's understandable. But yeah, he wasn't trying to hit him with his head there, so that was good. He was just wrapping up and form tackling. Major in motion, fake to him, give to Salvo. Salvo with plenty of space to dance. Dance he does, gets it past halfway, and clips a shot from CJ, just shy of the Rhinos 40. Yeah, showed some good moves there. I think it was initially meant to go to the right-hand side, but bounced it back to the left, and then bounced it back outside again. Showed good confidence to take a couple of yards back to get his angle right on the edge. 2nd down and 6 coming here for Gold Coast, whose offense has found a little bit of pep in their step here in the second half. Napier, Salvo backfield, 2 receivers to the right. They're keeping a tight end in now. It's Hobby, will help block, and Napier will keep this.
and pick up a good couple of yardage. We'll pick up some solid yardage, I should say, making this a 3rd and short.
Yeah, made
about a yard and a half.
Made a good read. The end came around and didn't follow the back, but he stayed wide enough to give Napier enough to run a lane up the middle.
It can be hard being that edge player, and this time it's Malachi Relton Stewart. You know, you do one thing. First rule is stay home, so you force a decision to be made. But even when you do, you got to try and keep your hips square enough so the quarterback doesn't have a lane inside or outside of you.
Yeah, it was a lot easier when I was playing, where it's just get in there and wreak havoc. Now you're pretty much put on an island, and your decision affects the whole play.
And the teams will flip side. They'll bring us to the end of the 3rd. We'll bring up our sponsors one last time for you here as we take a quick audio break. Another acknowledgement of our Brisbane Rhinos sponsors. Just saw them all on screen there. Resistance Sports Science, based in Enoggera, eye sponsor. I believe Gridiron Qld was a little early here today, checking out the options for eye sponsor. OzMV, Eddie Cockwell might be making his way here soon, late in the 4th. And Brisbane Flag American Football, who's produced many players here as that 3rd down.
I think he may have even lost the ball.
Might have lost the ball, you're right. A lot of Rhinos signifying Rhino possession here. I'm trying to figure out whether he got enough to convert in the first place.
I don't think he got
The
there.
Rhinos are coming up with the ball, but I haven't seen a signal, and there it is! Napier, in his efforts to stretch that ball past the line to gain, has lost possession. The Rhinos get back on the ball here at the start of the 4th quarter with a 2-touchdown lead.
Yeah, a little surprising he stretched out and took that risk there, because 4th and short in that field position would have been good sneak territory, and he's a big-bodied boy. He should be able to get a yard.
Yeah. And if not, you got someone like Gab Salvo you can possibly try and send up the middle. But just to finish off my thought out there,
I think that might have been a fault of them running the same play in the 2 in a row, and the Rhinos being awake for it the 2nd time.
There's Brisbane Flag American Football there. I think Liam Price might be floating around the field today, but they produced a number of both, not only Rhinos but Stingrays. One of those Rhinos is outside linebacker Sam Bull, as this is Aguelo Lopez prancing his way around a few Stingrays defenders, picks up 4, at the most 5 yards on that first down carry. But yeah, flag football, always a great route for players to find their way to the helmeted and padded game there, and Brisbane Flag American Football is one of the best ones. I've been working with the Rhinos over the last 2 seasons, I believe.
Yeah, it's a good route to get into the game, wet your beak, as it were.
Especially if you're a salad eater, as we like to call them, the skinnies on the outside.
Yeah. Oh, you get a surprising number of linemen who like to go out there and show that they can run around a bit.
I may or may not call myself an elite flag quarterback. That's before they brought blitzing into it. We had 2 players almost motioning here for the Rhinos. They do well to stop that. They might have to set for 1 second here. They do now with this other motion back to the outside. That's allowed them to time the snap count though. And I think that was Nada Togafu getting around the outside. And Frankie Tinalau Jr. is wanting a flag for an offside. The referees believe that was just well timed. I tend to agree with them. I think that was Barisi again, 90 and 80. I'm getting confused, but
yeah, just because he's moving forward when the ball is snapped doesn't mean he's over the line. Good work to get back to the line of scrimmage though, considering how that play looked straight after the snap.
Now Nada Togafu was officially on the field in jersey number 80. 3rd down and long here. They're going to need about 6 yards to avoid another 4th down. That is Taylor in motion, touchdown scorer, first offensive play from scrimmage. Floated with the forward motion there. Down the field he goes to Max Williams despite the double coverage, and Matt Major had his hands on possible pick number 4.
Yep, well read there by Major. Obviously them going back to the well again. This time Major got in good position and very nearly picked it off himself. Just mistimed his jump.
And Riley Dix and Bradford both have plenty of faith in Max Williams. Clearly, I think I've seen both quarterbacks take their chances in what has looked to be close to double coverage. They have a lot of faith in that man's catch radius. 4th down now, no punt unit out here. Dex is going to try and convert. He had a wheel route. Now he loads and throws underneath. Is it Taylor? But it's called a Shanks coming from the clouds to claim that 4th down converting catch.
Well, yeah, definitely has faith in his receivers. If 4th and long inside their own half, and yeah, just threw it up there and let him run under it.
How about that there? Our cameraman Hayden actually taking a chance and following the receivers there, and we're kind of grateful he did on that one particular play because he found the right guy. Calder Shanks staying underneath it and locating that ball. I actually thought Lockie Taylor, I think, or maybe Fenwick underneath it might have been the better option, but it's Shanks who snakes it, and they'll have to just get rid of this ball under pressure.
It looked like Shanks had just sort of dropped his speed a little bit, and the Stingrays just settled in that zone, and then he put on a little burst just to get behind the safety there.
Just want to be able to acknowledge Calder Shanks this week for this week's, or technically last week's announcement by the young man. I've already announced that he is committed, but I just want to make sure I get his college correct. And he is heading to Dickinson College over in America. The Red Devils, following all of his experience and hard work here in Australia, he's getting the opportunity to represent just another Australian moving over and plying their trade overseas. A keeper here for Riley Dix. And Riley Dix, almost untouched, strolls into the end zone, and that's now a 3-score lead here by the Brisbane Rhinos.
Yeah, good read. Just keep holding it. And no one actually came to greet him. I think the Stingrays there were expecting him to pass it or toss it off, as he has most times, to his back. But yeah, if you don't actually put a man on him, he can just run.
So now maybe the shoulders just relax a little bit here for the Brisbane Rhinos sideline. You could say this is probably a commanding lead given the time of the game. Only a few minutes left in the 4th quarter.
Oh, false start.
This BNT becomes a little more difficult for Fenwick. A couple of competent kickers around the league nowadays. Hobby's left boot has actually probably been more impressive than I was prepared to give him credit for in the games I've seen him. And Fenwick here for the Rhinos, and of course Warwick Russell.
The kick before in the first half, we saw him like, oh, that's like a 52-yarder.
Yeah.
Like, he had the leg on it, he just didn't have the accuracy.
Yeah,
but
just drew left by the end of the run. This one much easier than a 52-yarder. Ball currently placed at the 10. Nice and easy, relaxed, and he kicks this out beyond, almost onto the road here. What road is that? I'm also confused. That road coming in off where you turn into Prospect Road?
I can't remember. I haven't been here for a few years, Kenny.
Well, basically he's kicked it into the Gaethorn RSL. And that's probably the first time. Oh no, they've probably run the speed option a couple of times now here. Certainly the first time they've whipped it out here in the second half.
Yeah, like I said, I think all the other times he'd run it, he'd either flicked it quick or held it for a while and then flicked it out to his running back. But that time, yeah, no one came to challenge.
Here's where you're sort of caught with a dilemma in the for Connor Brewster, the offensive coordinator for the Gold Coast Stingrays. You're obviously down by a lot. Obviously playoffs aren't necessarily in your contention, but you treat this game as a winnable one, and you're caught now down 26-7. You're not necessarily a passing team, but you're in a dire need of yardage and yardage very quickly.
Yeah, the Stingrays would definitely like to win this game, so they're going to absolutely have a red hot go at it.
Underneath it is Gab Salvo, loses it in the lights, but the bounce is kind. Jukes one runner defender and eventually taken down, I think, by Cheyenne James at the Stingrays 30.
Beware the ball on the ground on a kickoff. Strange things happen.
Oh, we've seen them, especially in this league. And that just hung in the air, that Fenwick kickoff. Almost more of a bomb there, landing, almost dropping, opposed to the trajectory on that kick just dropping flat.
The number of times I've seen where a returner drops the ball and regathers it quickly, and the coverage team, having seen it hit the ground, lose their minds and forget their lanes.
Well, I don't know if you managed to make it for the first kickoff of this game there. Almost an awkward situation for the
Yeah, it sort
Stingrays.
of stopped on the one and wouldn't go into the end zone for him.
I thought for a second that it might have been a safety with the way the Rhinos sideline reacted. I thought he might have got a hand to it there, and thus making it a live ball, but nevertheless it ended up not being the case. Major in motion. Speed option now for Dylan Napier and the Gold Coast Stingrays. Fakes the pitch, tries to go back the other way, and will get 5 yards for his troubles. And we've got an injured Rhino down back at the 35. Trying to figure out who it is. And you see one person on the other end of a pancake. You wouldn't be the first person to take a Ryan Newton pancake.
Napier did well there to make as much of that as he did. I thought the Rhinos had read it quite well, but then just over pursued a little bit.
On the field there. I'm actually getting to see a little bit of defensive lineman, but I think he's playing linebacker tonight, and Elasia Kailahi, who's been a new addition to this defense this year, is one of the next door neighbours to head coach Sam Harkness. He managed to see a big body and recruited him. And he's another player who actually plays in the Brisbane Rugby League comps, or the reserve comp, I believe. I think he played for Normanby, if my intel is correct.
Yeah, it's one of the advantages of having a slightly later season this year. A lot more guys coming over from other sports.
You can just see on the screen there in the back behind the players there's head coach Lance Stongichilo to your right, offensive coordinator Connor Brewster with the headset to the left of him, and injured quarterback John Kari there, the now offensive brains trust of the Gold Coast Stingrays. And I will give a shout out to Connor Brewster, who's probably working under difficult conditions tonight. He's got a close family member in intensive care down in Melbourne at the moment there, and so he's constantly holding out for news out of that, and obviously he can be very difficult trying to run an offense under those conditions. So I just want to commend the young man for keeping his mind on the job with everything going on around him and his world at the moment.
Yeah, fingers crossed that everything turns out for the best there.
He's developed quite the relationship with Lance Stongichilo. Connor Brewster's made it no secret that he has aspirations to take his coaching career as long as it will allow. Has his eyes on the coaching gigs at not only the Queensland but outback level as well. And I was having a chat with him as someone who's been at those levels, and you've got to be in it to win it, and you've got to be in around, and you've got to be asking questions, and
experience and time in the game is one of the keys to getting those roles and performing well in those roles. If no one knows who you are, you're not going to get picked.
Exactly right. Obviously, he's been one of the guys amongst the very dominant Gold Coast Stingrays junior program. Obviously, you've got to, there's been a lot of good coaches in their time there, with Coach Wynn predominantly over a good 5-6 year period. Chris Wynn, and taking over them as well. Name escapes me at the moment. He's off. He's from Wisconsin. Coach, I'm forgetting your name right now, but he was a huge part of that success as well, along with Connor and Coach Glasser. Even back when we were coaching, Greg Glasser was coaching the Gold Coast Stingrays back then.
Yeah, the Stingrays have always had a very strong junior program, and it's good to see guys progressing not only from the players but also from the coaching ranks.
I'm trying to remember
the ladders.
Who was the last non-Stingrays junior team to win? Was it you? Was it your Rhinos, the Ravens, or was it the Sunshine Coast Spartans?
It would have been. We haven't won one since.
You had a perfect season. What, 2010?
2011.
2011.
That's what it says right there on the arm. Yep.
Oh, there you go. I see you've commemorated it well. That's a huge part of the Rhinos' history as well. So a lot of the.
I think we did win a junior when it was split between junior and Colts. We did win one.
Oh,
the first year of the junior division.
Yeah, I remember that. And they separated that.
But other than that, it's been bridesmaid, never the bride for
the
quite
program,
and in the juniors, yeah.
Juniors, yeah.
Which is good, but also frustrating that we keep getting into the finals.
Feeling.
Yeah,
it's conflicting feelings, isn't it?
Yes.
But, you know, as I said, you know, that perfect season, you guys in 2011, a bright spot of this club's history, as we, you know, reflect here on Homecoming Week, and you guys ran the table, and believe it or not, that's a very hard thing to do, albeit some of these Gold Coast Stingrays programs have maybe suggested it's not as hard as one would think.
Yeah, the league that year was very balanced, which is why it seems a much more impressive feat for me. Personally, I know.
That was a big Sun Bowl. Was it you and the Spartans?
Yeah, 17-16. Spartans played out of their skins. Considering a few weeks before we'd towed them up.
Was that Cougar Oval, that Sun Bowl?
No, that was at East. No, I think it was the first one we had at East.
Oh, no, you went down to the Spartans at Cougar Oval. Sorry to bring that up, mate.
Yeah, no.
And the player who was down for the Brisbane Rhinos was number 8, Matthew Skilton. He's now making his way to this sideline, seemingly okay. He was down for quite some time, but he seems to be walking okay now.
I think that might be a concussion just from the way he's moving.
So I try not to speculate, but I think there are reasons there as to why he got to that conclusion.
Yep.
So, in any case,
he's up and walking, which means it's probably not a lower leg, but he seems just a little shaky.
We can eliminate lower leg injury from the list of possibilities. Second down and a short 5 here for Gold Coast. Napier evades the rush, gets the ball away. Nice catch. Is that James Hobby? I think it might be. That it is. James Hobby, who's now moved to more of a tight end role this evening, completes there and moves the chains for the Stingrays.
Can't go wrong with a big body when you get in trouble. Try and find.
There you go. There's a nickname, Big Body Hobby.
Try and find the largest jersey on your side that you can and throw it to it. Just hope it's not a lineman.
Mitch Wong was on that 2011. He was one of your captains for that 2011 side.
Yeah, that was his second year. A lot of those guys' second year, they'd come in 2010 and just missed out on the finals, and came back. Obviously after the 2011 Sun Devils.
That was the Mitch Wong hit on Chappie's God's play, wasn't it?
Yeah, they went the Statue of Liberty play and
the double reverse quarterback pass.
Yep.
And Napier loads, throws, man open, test for Gabir. The pass needed a little more mustard on it. Breaking up the play there for the Rhinos, Alexander Dunster.
Good job to get back and get his hand in the way there. He was just playing face guard. They've beaten him deep, and just got his hand in between the man and the ball.
Yeah, that's why you
don't know if he tipped it or whether he just disrupted his vision.
He'll claim it. You know, it's a tip for now, and give it a few.
It's a pass defense either way.
Give it a couple of apple juices if he's of age. I'm sure that'll turn into an intercept soon enough.
As time goes by, yes.
Second down and 10. Gab salvo straight up the guts. There he goes again, shaking and baking into the red zone. He ventures, and inside the 10 he goes.
Really good blocking from the Stingrays line there. Opened a good hole for him and meant he didn't have to make a decision until he was already in the backfield of the Rhinos.
He is one of the shiftier backs in Gridiron Queensland now. The way he has that hip control, he can change direction without, it sounds really silly, but without stopping to move forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some backs have a really hard handbrake when they try to
they need to break down and really drop the hips, whereas he just seems to be able to just flow through it.
It's an impressive trait as a runner. It's literally exactly what you look at.
But I think that was the first time I've seen the line actually open a definite hole for him, where he hasn't had to make a decision about, oh no, I've got to bounce it somewhere.
They go back to him immediately afterwards. Loses the tackle from Saxby and tries to back his way to the end zone and be caught 1 yard short.
And the Stingrays there just changing it up, not going off the edge. Now just going straight up the middle and using their considerable bulk.
Last time in this position inside the 5, it was a Napier keeper that got them on the board. It was a reasonably short conversation here. Let's see if that's on the cards again.
I think they might look to reward their running back here.
Gab Salvo, he's in a mood for it.
It might be another read option as well.
Look at the splits from that offensive line. They've definitely tightened up here inside the red zone. Keep it a Napier, but Sam Bull, he's awake to it. The rest of the troops come in as well. And they deny him any love here on third down. And just to go back to finish off earlier, thought Sam Bull, one of the players, we talk about players being recruited from flag football, and in this case, so the Rhinos, Brisbane flag, American football. Sam Bull was one of those. As I said, originally a player for the Cairns Falcons, but was attracted to the Rhinos specifically through Brisbane flag, American football. So Liam Price, a big part of that recruiting train there for BFAF.
Third and goal now, got them pushed back to about the 5. They really overloaded the right-hand side of that line, which was why it was surprising he pulled the ball back. I think he didn't realise quite how many Rhinos had actually come through.
They have Dylan Napier, 2 receivers there to the right. He'll look for Gab in the flat. No, he'll go for the end of the back of the end zone, and this pass falls incomplete. They'll bring up 4th and goal. He wanted major, it looks like.
The coverage there was just blanketed him though. DB was right on top of him, and CJ coming over looking the ball hook. If they hadn't gotten each other's way, I think that might have been another interception.
Yeah, well, again,
adding 4th and goal from the 5.
Adding another deflection to his stat sheet, Jeremy Cowles, who's done a solid job stepping up to the starting cornerback position. And what will be interesting is how this Rhinos team looks like a couple of weeks from now. A win tonight pretty much guarantees them playoffs, and it'll be on to next week to sort of properly dictate whether they finish the 2nd or 3rd seed. But winning tonight gives them a pretty good, it pretty much puts their fate in their own hands to try and claim their 2nd next week, the 2nd seed.
Who do they have next week?
The Bayside Ravens. And I think the way things have fallen out, it'll be a battle between the Sunshine Coast Moreton Bay Spartan Raptors, I think, for 2nd and 3rd and pole position there, which obviously SBS MB do have the head-to-head over the Brisbane Rhinos due to a 16-7 loss earlier.
But
in
whether
the
they can
season.
finish equal on points, I don't think they can.
I think the Rhinos do have more victories than Moreton Bay, so I think it would take a loss tonight, and I've got to double check the ladder. The ladder has been a little hard to get our eyes on with the website.
Well, I'm here. Well done to Moreton Bay becoming a viable force in the league.
The Bayside Ravens?
Not just the Moreton Bay, yeah.
Moreton Bay, Sunshine
They spent
Coast.
a lot of years struggling as a reward for effort and persistence. Stingrays with a fullback in the game now.
They do. Right, Newton's popped in a time or two. And they're going to give it to the big man. Spinning and turning, trying to earn himself a tutty. Unavailable to the man today.
I know they had to try something different, but I'm not sure about that call there.
I'm disappointed. You're a former fullback, mate. We need to support fullback gives no matter what the logic suggests.
Yeah, but 4th and 5. 4th and 1, I can understand it. 4th and 5, you better have a really good fullback.
I'll go on record. I would have been the first one telling my coach to give me the rock on 4th and 5.
Yep.
So a turnover on downs for the Gold Coast Stingrays. Their night reads currently a punt block, 3 and out, pick 6, intercept, turnover on downs in the red zone, and then they got on the board with a touchdown to Dylan Napier.
Oh, they're going to back the Rhinos up a little bit.
Well, at this point, you're tempted to possibly look at sending the house if you're the Stingrays and possibly look at a safety.
Yeah, they definitely need points and they need the ball back, which that would give them.
Yeah, in the 4th quarter now.
I know your first thought is to run it here from the Rhinos, but I wouldn't be surprised if they pass it just to get a little bit of...
Ryan Glasson, and they'll go to a screen here to call the Shanks, well defended by Gold Coast. Ryan Glasson was so fast a centre there that I thought he false started, but he's a centre, so he really can't.
Oh, he can, but...
He can with the ball, yes, but if you looked on that play, how quickly did his head shoot up ahead of his...
I think it also, that perception helps that none of his offensive line moved either, so that might have been him hearing something or feeling something from the defense and just snapping it and going. But good play call, get them out of off the feet of their goal line.
Hang on, that is still Dix at quarterback, is it not? Yeah. No, they've changed the quarterback here. I didn't notice
they
that
have
because
too,
it was
yeah.
so far away in the lights. Now
And the
it's
numbers are similar, 11 and 14.
Jared Toshak. It's the 11, not the 4 now stepping in. Now, this isn't too much of a surprise for me. At one of the practices I visited earlier in the season, he did take some indie reps at quarterback, throwing to some of the receivers on those lazy hand drills. So, obviously, especially with the quarterback lock they've had this season,
Yeah.
continuing to add to the
That's
the
why I
depth.
was asking who they're playing next week, whether they'll look to rest players and...
Well, it'll be an interesting decision because I've heard on the grapevine the Ravens, assuming they win tonight over the Raptors, and just looking at a ladder position, that is likely, of course, any given Saturday. Toshak throws off his back foot. Spiral was not. Major's got 4. Major's looking for a pick 6 here on his 4th intercept of the night. Can he get there? He'll be half a yard short. Well, it's not all doom and gloom for Columbia Blue this evening. That man had one hell of an individual performance.
Yeah, I think the QB there just got off balance throwing that pump fake. I know he's very young, just needs to relax more, set his feet properly.
Credit to him. Made the tackle that prevented a pick 6.
Excellent work on the interception. Once again, 4 in a game is rare in hen's teeth.
I would argue that was probably one of his easier ones of the evening.
Yes.
So immediately. I mean, there's an exciting future here for Gold Coast. All things considered. Gab Salvo, if he sticks around, I know he was a late addition in preseason this year, but now Matt Major, you look at some of these guys like Denton and Al Frank, if they stick around, the years they've put in the junior years, of course, Dylan Napier is always a force, although I would love to see him back at DB or wide receiver.
Carry back next year, hopefully.
Yeah, touch wood, his injury's sort of died down. He's had a rotten run of luck.
Oh, it looks like they've just false started. Yeah, they haven't been the dominant force they were in previous years, but hopefully there's enough promise there, or they've got enough reward out of this season to make some of them come back, and
that's
they
what
can
you're really
build on
hoping
that.
for.
Yeah.
The other thing as well, they've got largely largely the same 5 or 6 to 7 offensive linemen throughout
Yep,
the season, and
that's
that is
always
huge.
key. Yep.
Of course, that can change any
At the drop
preseason.
of, everyone's team can change at the drop of a hat, especially in today's environment.
Can adjust. 3 receivers there. Ewington, Major, and Tesfa Gabir out to the left. One receiver out to the right here is Sabat. Sabat on the slant. Sabat, picked off here. Will Saxby, don't tell me he's got another. He's got 2 pick 6s on this season. Won't make it a 3rd, but he does get this ball out past the 20. Saxby.
Some extracurriculars going on there.
I think it was just extra energy there. I don't think there was anything anything ill-willed in that last play.
Yep, just dropping back in his hook to curl zone, and QB didn't read he was there.
I don't know what he's done. He's been very sneaky. He's been able to prove to drive on the ball very late. His first pick earlier in the game there, he just took a glimpse of the receiver there and immediately beeline to him. Sometimes it doesn't look like he can cover the space needed to get there, but that's twice now. He's made up a good 3 or 4 yards in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, good first step is always helpful, especially in those sorts of situations. But yeah, I think the QB just didn't see he was there.
First down. Back to Toshak. Nice easy completion to get him going here out to Taylor. He's bundled out over the sideline by Bice, and good job to get Jared Toshak back underway after that last interception.
Yeah, get his confidence back under him. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw a couple of runs here. Just keep this clock ticking over.
2nd and 5. Nice quick shot. Produced 5 yards on the play. Loading and throwing. Finding Fenwick underneath. Nice tackle on the play there. Al Frank making the stop.
Prove me wrong going with the short passes. Obviously, they probably think they've got this one wrapped up, so just trying to get the young backup QB some reps and some throws to see what they've got with him.
This makes Toshak the 4th quarterback. The well, technically, I hold like the 5th quarterback the Brisbane Rhinos have used at various points throughout the season. Obviously, starting with Mitch Bradford. We'll see what the state of his health is moving into next week in playoffs. Obviously, Dix has been the natural backup for most of the season, but then when he went down, they actually went to Calder Shanks against the Ravens for only 2 or 3 plays. I'll count it. And then when Dix went down again against the Stingrays back in week 4, it was Sam Bull, the former Cairns Falcons quarterback, where they created an option offense on the fly for him to contribute, and then now Toshak makes that 5.
Yeah, well, it's either good or bad when you use 5 quarterbacks in the season. It's either a lot of injuries or a lot of blowouts, but it's good to have options.
I will just take this time out here just to acknowledge some of these sponsors again there and talk in detail. Resistance Sports Science in Inogra, Daniel Robson Petch might be floating around here, but they provided the Brisbane Rhinos with physio coverage and conditioning throughout the preseason and obviously regular season for the Brisbane Rhinos men's team. Eye sponsor, as I said, Gridiron Qld was here earlier checking out the action. Check out Eye Sponsor if you are at any sort of club. If you're other teams looking around, they do a wonderful job. The app really connects local businesses to support their local community there. So they emphasize the easily connect local clubs and local businesses there. And OzMV, Eddie Cockburn might be here around close towards the end of the game to talk more about Oz manufactured vehicles. And of course we talked about Brisbane flag American football a little earlier there, and its contribution to not only the game of gridiron in Queensland but the Brisbane Rhinos specifically.
Rhinos there going with a hard counter backside on them. Stingrays did not jump, but one of their backfield obviously hadn't heard the call or got a little excited.
Indeed. And just to give another quick acknowledgement to the Stingray sponsors, Sporting Globe Robina has been backing them in their pre-season events. Formica Project Management, King Springs, New Spring Water, their charity with the Stingrays are heavily behind the Now I Can Run charity. And some of the old boys, Tom Rifford, Dennis Gilmore and Academy 49, run by Lance Tongi Kilo, financially helping out with a club. Water throwing past the Calder Shanks, picks up a big block of Major, and Shanks takes this inside the 30. Calder Shanks giving a glimpse as to why he has been recruited by Dixon College.
Big hit by Triumph James on the block here, but I think it's going to get called for a blind side. Yep, needed to just pull up and just block off with his body there, but laid the hit.
And, you know, times of yesteryear, that block would be allowed, and that's why sometimes even myself, I get excited about those sort of blocks, but in the interest of player safeties, the new rules don't really allow for that. I am failing to find a flag, though, so whether the officials have deemed that legal, I'm not...
No,
I see the flag right
flag,
next to him, my apologies. So Matthew Major, unfortunately, on the back end of an illegal CJ hit. So yes.
Yeah, there's a part of me that laments that, but the game has to move on. We have to respect player safety, and so this is how we get that out of the game, basically.
As I said, you know, you and I both played in coach in the keep your head in a swivel era, where that would be lauded in seasons past, but nowadays that a receiver on a blindside block or a player on a blindside block is deemed what's the word for it? Is it unprotected?
Unprotected, yeah.
Unprotected.
He's clearly looking at the back, can't see the blocker coming,
and he doesn't miss.
No. So that might be targeting. That might be the end of
that could be the end
Chime's
of
night and his game next week.
Yes, I was about to say they're actually
good to see the young man up and walking around.
Chime James, I think, is going to personally make his way there to apologise to the young man. It looks like there's no love lost between those two.
He was pointing to himself too, saying, no, that was on me more than him. But
in any case, you're right with the new rules regarding ejection, and we might get that call right now. Okay, we got the 2-minute warning here. I'm surprised there. I thought targeting.
I don't think they ruled it as target. I think they just ruled it as an illegal block. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Saying he didn't. They're saying he didn't target. He said there might have been some.
And the way I looked about it, I think it was shoulder, despite the height difference between Major and Triumph James.
Yep.
The shoulder did look to make contact with the chest.
Yeah.
despite how ferocious it was. So I think that is why it's.
I think because CJ got down a little bit, that he wasn't actually targeting.
Also meant that he made effort. I think the biggest concern there on those blindside is when you see helmet-to-helmet contact.
Yes.
So the good news for Rhino supporters that Cheyenne James will be available next week against the Bayside Ravens. Toshak evades the rush, having to use his speed now. Let's remind everyone, here's a wide receiver, sees the look of not a toga foul, and says the sideline's looking pretty cool right now.
Yeah, he's definitely got some wheels on him. Stingrays got good pressure, but just didn't maintain it at the next level.
Oh, Frank whiffing on the tackle as well, and up the sideline he went.
Yeah, just took a wrong angle there on him.
So they are in the final 2 minutes here. It appears saving a quick score or turnover right now. The Brisbane Rhinos will have the final possession here in this Week 8 matchup, and victory all but in their hands right now. Dare I say it, the lovely lady is warming up the pipes. First down and 10. Ball on the Stingrays 37. Toshak, deep 7-step drop, climbs the pocket and is turned into a runner. Here he goes again, and this time toga foul says you're not getting away from me this time.
Yeah, just managed to get his hands on him that time. Wasn't going to let him get away. If he had made it past there, he was looking good for another big chunk.
And I apologise, Louis, once again. I think you guys are going to have to change numbers because 90 and 80 are way too similar for two edge defenders. No, it was. I was right. I got it. There's Barisi. Had to back myself on that last play. Failed to do so. Second down, and we'll call this a long 8.
Does he, wearing number 80, have aspirations of maybe lining up out wide on offense?
I think, honestly, with the last jerseys remaining in Camp Stingray, so he had to deal with it. Decent pocket. Toshak with time. Toshak looking deep. Launch Shanks. Gets Shanks. Or is that an incomplete pass?
I can't see whether it bounced. And no one's signaling incomplete, so
that was weirdly awkward. Everyone fell silent for a second.
We were blocked too. We couldn't really see what happened with the ball. I know it got to him first.
I think the Rhinos were blocked as well because they weren't exactly celebrating for a good 2.5 seconds there, and that's a timeout taken, I think, by the Brisbane Rhinos.
Probably want to get their rookie and see if their new QB and see if they can get him a touchdown as well.
We'll also
add to his resume. Yep. Yeah, that too. It is a very different passing in the red zone than it is.
We've seen it from both quarterbacks tonight. You know? Different sort of struggles. Or that first fade route, Dix to Taylor, was a thing of beauty there on the first play from scrimmage for the Rhinos.
It's always good when that first play comes off.
Certainly helps. But in any case, usual starting quarterback Mitch Bradford still on the crutches, and it might have been some shifty coach talk sent to me from Sam Harkness, who initially led me to believe that Bradford could be back within a week or two after his injury in week 3 there. But here he is, several weeks later, in week 8, and still not out of the moon boot.
As a fantasy football advocate, the day-to-day designation is the bane of my existence.
It can only be questionable for so long. First down, good protection. Looking for Williams again. That could have been 5 interceptions for Matt Major, who, fortunately for everyone involved, still on the field after that last big
I think
hit.
we're going to have offsides on the defense.
5 interceptions in the men's division would be close to pushing for a record. I can only speak to the live stream era. It's all sort of up for debate beyond then.
I don't recall anyone getting, but then
there's been a lot of blowouts in our times.
I never used to pay that much attention to DBs when I was playing.
Go figure. I know one of the most impressive DB performances was, name's going to escape me, the safety opposite Frankie Passanani, the long-time safety for Canadian safety for the Gold Coast Stingrays, had 4 interceptions in that Bayside Ravens Gold Coast Stingrays Sun Bowl.
Yeah, the name escapes me too.
It's killing me. It's killing me. Toshak throw to Shanks underneath. Coverage is solid though. Frank breaking that one up. Now bring it up 2nd and goal.
May not be a bad choice there, dropping that. Not that it was a choice, but dropping that one, stopping the clock.
This is going to kill me. I'm actually going to actively go
coming to the end of the game. A lot of players looking a bit gassed. A lot of hands on hips, both sides of the ball. If you look out, the Rhinos running trips to this side and look at the personnel they've got. They've run that the last few plays. They haven't really got.
Hold the phone. Chime James on the field as a wide receiver. It'll be a design quarterback keeper. It'll be Newton on the tackle there. Toshak getting it very close to the end zone, and the Rhinos should use, I believe, that's their third and final.
Wouldn't be surprised if we saw that same formation in just a little tunnel screen or something to someone like CJ. Big body,
pitch, yeah.
Good leap.
Also,
or even a jet sweep or something out of that.
They've also been not afraid to throw the sort of fade route, whether they trust Toshak with a throw like that.
I don't think they're far enough out, actually. Fade route's difficult when you're on the two, especially coming from a shotgun or a pistol snap. The ball's got to have time to get there. Whereas under centre, you can just stand up and lob it.
And throw. Kevin Walsh, there we go. That's the name I was rhyming here. Still one of the best games by a DB and a Sunball I've ever seen. I think he had a punt return touchdown, 2 pick sixes on 4 intercepts, I think it was, and a fumble recovery as well. It was one of the most impressive games I've ever seen. Toshak looking for that fade. Coming back underneath it. Touchdown Rhinos. I think out wide that's Lockie Taylor. He will punctuate this game. He will top and tail this Week 8 matchup with touchdowns.
Yeah, but I think it was intended to be a fade, but just came back, shed the DB. Obviously the Rhinos deciding to go to the isolated corner. That was one tactic they used quite a lot. Set up a lot of receivers on one side and just isolate a corner they like a matchup on.
So, can't imagine there's too many seconds after the clock here. It might be a chance for the Gold Coast Stingrays to throw a Hail Mary or two if they wish. And I feel like that 2-minute warning was an age ago now.
Was it? But we had a
couple of timeouts.
Couple of out of bounds.
Kick blocked. Will they dare try to... This might be...
One of those heart and mouth ones for the coaches. Ball lying around in the end zone.
Yeah, especially any Rhino there, they would have actually added 2 points, not 1. So the unconverted touchdown will stay an unconverted touchdown. And now a chance for the Stingrays to possess the ball with the final few seconds on the clock here.
Yeah, Stingrays definitely made it a competition in the second and third quarters, but the Rhinos just managed to put the foot on the gas a little bit at the end and pull away. But a good effort by both teams.
Trying to get an official score check for the Bayside Ravens, Moreton Bay, Sunshine Coast, Raptors Spartans game. Not going to get one. Tried to check in with someone who thought was at the grounds. No luck.
I'm surprised they didn't go with Flying Spartans or something for that.
Well, there's surely some sort of Greek bird of prey they could have gone with. An awkward kickoff here from Fenwick. He's got this ability to make these kicks just sit at the back of the end zone. Ultimately they end up as touchbacks, but it's been very uncanny tonight how many kicks he's managed to have sit at the back of the end zone.
Yes, making that guy at the back make a decision. Are you going to come up and grab this, or are you going to gamble and see whether it goes in? Obviously that one it did. I thought for a second he was going to try and go all the way, but yeah, the first one didn't go his way. The rest of them have been good for the Stingrays after that.
Let's try if Chris Bradshaw can get me some scores around the rounds as we come to the close of this weekend matchup. So, Napier back in for the final time tonight. Snap. Long throw. Coming back for it was Tess for Gabir. He's managed to actually get open deep a couple times now. Unfortunately, just...
Yeah, Napier just didn't quite have the arm there. Couldn't get enough on it to get it down to him.
Yeah, he's had one of those games that won't look great on the stat sheet, but if you're breaking down film, probably a few more pluses than the box score suggests.
Yeah, you can only make the most of your opportunities if you're a bit stifled as a team, and sometimes it doesn't really come your way to make an impact on the scoreboard.
2nd down and 10 here. Game just seeing through the final embers of this matchup. Napier with a good pocket press as a step up, lets it fly. Oh, he hits his player in the back of the head.
Just
Napier
lost sight of it. It was a great pass.
with one of the best throws this evening.
He'd done well to get separation, but just lost where it was.
That is a picture-perfect throw from any quarterback. And I think in a couple of weeks' time, they might look back in the tape and laugh about that. But
he's going to be seeing that in his Facebook mentions for a long time.
Sabat, my apologies. There's a bit of trust
Poor
there.
bugger,
That's who Napier went to in the end zone in the last interception as well, and trusted him. He broke tip. A couple of these guys.
It was a good route. He had a good step. He just lost where the ball was coming down.
So once again, just when the quarterback's on fire, the receivers aren't. When the receivers break deep, the quarterback's missing them short. It's one of those nights certainly for the Gold Coast Stingrays, and they'll try to run this clock out now with Gab Salvo. And it's a 1st down, in fact. 10 yards.
See if they can get one more play out of it. I see the officials looking at their clocks.
Gab Salvo has had a better second half than he did first, and I think the Rhinos did a wonderful job shutting him down in half number 1.
Yeah, he's found a little bit more space, been able to use his shifty ability, and there we go.
And there it is, ball raised above the head of Brian Balsamo, and here in week 8, the Rhinos have defended home turf for the final time here at their homecoming game. They run out victors on homecoming weekend, 32 points to 7. An impressive display at certain patches of this game, overcoming a bit of lethargy, shall I say, during that middle period of the game to ultimately put up a pretty solid scoreline by game's end.
Yeah, good performance. Didn't really ever let it get away from them. Let the Stingrays back in a little bit, but that was more effort from the Stingrays, I think, and the Stingrays actually figuring out how to play against the Rhinos defense before they made some adjustments and managed to close it out.
And a couple solid touchdowns there. By my count there, they had a couple of touchdowns to Taylor on the outside, rushing touchdown there to Riley Dix, and also Max Williams getting on the board in the 3rd quarter. Pick 6 as well to Will Saxby, and also a mention to Jared Tosha getting his first career passing touchdown late in the game for the Gold Coast Stingrays. Showed signs of bringing this game back in the 3rd quarter. It was a touchdown to Dylan Napier. Also a handful of great plays, and can't finish off this game without mentioning number 11. There he is on screen now for the Gold Coast Stingrays. Matthew Major with a 4-intercept game.
Yeah, got to be a little disappointing to come down with that many intercepts and only have 7 points up on the board. They had a lot of opportunities down in the Rhinos red zone, but the Rhinos obviously playing good goal line defense and managed to stiffen every time they were down there, except for one, and hold them to only 7, which is impressive.
Nevertheless, they're on to week 9. It'll be a battle between 1 versus 2 ahead of the playoffs. The Bayside Ravens taking on the Brisbane Rhinos. The reality is we'll see which of these two teams want to send some backups in ahead of post-season football. But on top of that, both top and tailing next week with junior matchups as well. Actually, no, that's a lie. It will be Ravens and Rhinos from 1 p.m. next week at Deception Bay, followed by 2 junior matchups for you there all the way to 7 o'clock. So hope you join us next week. Appreciate your company tonight here in this Week 8 broadcast, coming to you live from Don Duncan Field here in West Mitchelton. I'm Kenny Andres, joined in the second half there by my man Phil Levis. And we will once again be with you with live streaming or LSB Australia next week.